Manx Radio's Countryside is brought to you by NFU Mutual.
Hello and welcome to Countryside here on Manx Radio. I'm Simon Clark.
And I'm Kirree. At the weekend I popped along to the Southern Vintage Engine and Tractor Club rally down in Colby.
And I went along to the Andreas Summer fair to find out what was on stall and what was on offer. And also there was some vintage machinery there as well. Well, Kirree, it's nice to be back this side of it as well. You soldiered on your Todd last week with the dreaded viruses that have got everyone since the TT, really. All free now, but struggling a bit with a bit of a cold now. So
yeah, no, glad to have you back, Simon. It was very daunting on my own, but yes, it's nice to be back with all of the events happening this summer as well after a 2-year break, really, too.
And we've had a bit of rain. It's only just soaked and dampened the surface a bit, but it's given a lot of people the dry spell to a chance to get all the hay done and the haylage and silage, hasn't it?
Indeed, Simon, with a bit more hay being made this year, with the cost of the black plastic that you'd normally see around the countryside on the silage bales being used a little less of this time. Yeah,
and I've seen a trailer with some grain on it.
Never.
Up north as well.
Oh, wow.
Well, whether it was combining or was it grain that was being transported somewhere. But, it's
that time of year is stretching on, I suppose.
We'll try and find out a little bit more about that one. But all in all, with the the farmers are struggling with the price, the fuels and everything like that. It's cutting slim margins down to virtually nothing at the present, isn't it?
It really is. It's making a lot of businesses focus on what they are doing, whether they rehash what their enterprise is altogether. It's changing times not only for agriculture, but you see it just even in the normal petrol stations on the high road. You know, people are really having to think what they spend their money on. Food security, as we always say here on Countryside and in the Isle of Man, it's so important that we look after our food chain and our food links and look after the farming as we can on the island. But like you say, Simon, it's testing times.
It is. A lot of cars going slower and tractors as well on the road, conserving fuel, I'd imagine, as well. But we'll get in touch with some of the contractors and see what's happening around, to get their view off what's been, the crops have been like over the past and summer. So
that's right. The sheep shearing will be well underway now. Some of the hills will be still ready to come in to be sheared. There again, wool prices is meant to be a little bit more improved this year, but maybe not as good as it should be. It's a sustainable product. It's a great product.
Better than nothing.
Absolutely. So farmers are busy there now, and they've been delighted with the rain on the weekend.
Yeah, well, there wasn't any rain on Saturday when I was at the Andreas Summer Fair. It was held at the Mountain View Innovation Centre, so it's in the vicinity of all the areas around the countryside. And I spoke to the chairman of the development committee for the Andreas Church and one of the organisers of the Andreas Summer Fair, Waveney Jenkins. I also got a chat with Bill Dale from Beach Buddies. But first of all, Chris Wellings was there with his Model T Ford on display. And I asked Chris when this vehicle dates back to.
It's 104 years old now.
Really?
Oh yes, yeah.
And is this one of the first ones that Ford built, or not?
No, they started much earlier than that. And this isn't really a true, genuine Model T. Well, it's a Model T in all respects, but the engine is 1917 and the chassis is 1915. And I reckon just after the First World War it was put together perhaps from some old scrappers or something like that. Yeah, for the chavs of the day for their sports car.
Right. Well, how long have you had ownership of that?
I've had it about 10 or 11 years now, yeah.
What was it like that when you got it, Chris?
Oh, yes, yeah. I've altered some things. That box at the back for the luggage, I put that on it and done some other alterations on it, put a better horn on it and things like that.
But what sort of engine is in it? What cc is it?
It's 3.5 litre.
Really?
Oh yes, yeah. But only revs up to about 2,000.
And how many cylinders?
4, just standard 4-cylinder. Yeah. It does about 15 miles to the gallon.
Yeah. But I mean, does it fare zip along though?
It'll do 40 miles an hour.
Really?
Oh yes, yeah. It gets a bit hairy at over 40, yeah.
Right. Well, I suppose there doesn't look to be much front disc brakes or anything.
No. Braking has to be well planned ahead.
Yeah. What is the braking system on it?
Well, it's got a clutch, a band brake on the prop shaft, that's the foot pedal operates that, and then just the handbrake on brake shoes on the rear.
Right. And a sort of gearbox as well?
Well, no, it's an epicyclic gearbox built into the flywheel. It's very clever, so there's no actual changing of gears. Everything is operated by brake bands in the gearbox itself.
So how does it speed up on its own like an automatic?
No. You've got the accelerators just on the steering column, and you just press one pedal, and that tightens the band on one clutch inside the gearbox, and away you go in first. And then once you've built up a bit of speed, you take your foot right off, and that engages automatically another clutch and puts you in top.
Wow, and when we look back at 1915, 1917 stroke thing, it was quite a masterful piece of engineering.
Quite sophisticated, yeah.
And what about the handling of it?
It's lively.
Yes, yeah.
Lively and unpredictable at times. It bumps the ears a lot. So if the road's nice and flat, you can just relax. But if it's any potholes, then they really knock it off course. That really limits your top speed.
There can't be many of them about, though, Chris, is there?
No, there's quite a few on the island, though.
Is there?
Oh, yes. But at least, I know of 5.
Really?
Oh, yeah. So when the classic car club's out, you see a couple of them.
Yeah. Well, Bill Dale, it's a nice surprise seeing you away from the shoreline, really, here at the fair.
Yeah, it's nice to be here because I live in Andreas, and this is a community event here, and it's smashing to come in here and see all of the local community people together and faces that I know, and funnily enough, faces that I know I've never met before or spoken to, should I say. So it's been it's a lovely event for all the family, and I think they've done a really good job, and what a great facility this is.
Yeah, it certainly is. But I mean, it must be nice because the times that you spend along the beach, you've got your followers there and everything. To be here, is it like having your presence and spreading the news so people can find out?
It is, and I have to say, a lot of people have come up who I've never spoken to before, who are very interested. And the nice thing I like is when families come along, and the children are picking up the litter pickers and looking at the things that we've made out of driftwood, and then mum and dad are watching as well, So, and we're going to give away a few litter pickers as well this afternoon. So I like it when you engage with families in particular, because they seem to get the message really well. I mean, like your family did, and lots of others. And there's a good spirit in the north. I think people are more aware of the countryside and nature up here, and they like to take care of the place. And you look around, and gardens are well looked after up this way. It's not the same all across the island, but I think we've got to set a pretty good example up this way.
Yeah, and isn't it because that example, you see a big box of something blowing into somebody's hedge by the side of the main road. It's not just the attitude of, well, leave that for the council, whatever it is, to pick up. Oh, that looks unsightly, let's get rid of it, isn't it?
Yeah, and I saw a guy out yesterday. I was just driving home back to Andrews from Ramsey, and there was a guy at the side of the road who I don't even know who he was. I've never seen him before, and he had his own litter picker and a bag, and he was walking along the pavement. I'd never seen him before, and there he is walking along the pavement picking up rubbish. And I think, well, if we've helped to make that happen, that's the answer, really. I think, and there are lots more people like that I know of. We've got lots of volunteers we never see on a beach, because the beach isn't always everybody's favourite, So people might have a river or a glen or a park or a playground, and we're setting a little nice example here. It's really nice.
Do you, so today, have you been walking around the ground and the gardens here Do you
You know, I
get in
can't
that
fi-
habit of looking for rubbish?
Oh, I do. When I first came here, I thought, right,
You're never off duty.
there must be some rubbish around here, but I'll tell you what, David and Alison Durricott, they've got this place sorted. I can't find anything. So it's in terms of finding rubbish today, I think it's going to be zero. I mean, this is a fabulous place, isn't it? I've never been in that building before. My goodness, you could have a football match in there.
So when will your next operation be? Are you sort of doing it weekly?
We do every Sunday. We go out. Now we don't normally announce where we're going until a Wednesday or Thursday, which we do on our Facebook page and the website, beachbuddies.net. But it'll depend on weather too.
Which way the wind's blowing?
Well, it does, you know, and the last thing we want is to take people out when the weather's rotten or it's raining and stuff. So we always call it off when it's like that. But I have to say, we must be going out 45 plus Sundays in a year on a Sunday morning, every Sunday at 10:30, and I think next week we might be going to Peel, but let's wait and see. Have a look on the page first. Don't take my word for it.
Well, you and your team, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Well, it's been a good spell of weather for the summer fair, Waveney.
It's been a glorious day, apart from the fact that there was a gale, to put it mildly. But luckily we're at the Mountain View, and we've been able to bring the bouncy castles inside and all the stalls inside. Otherwise, I gather some of the other functions today have had to cancel things. So we've been very lucky.
But it's great to see a good turnout, though.
It's a lovely turnout, and everyone very enthusiastic. The Ramsey band have been gorgeous, and they are all now tucking into a strawberry scone.
And that's the great thing about these events. There's no sort of factory manufacturement of them, is there? It's just a load of home people.
We're trying to be a little bit more sort of organised. We were trying to get a conveyor belt going, but we are, I'm afraid, a little bit amateur.
But that's part and parcel of summer fairs, isn't it? It's everyone mucking in, doing something that they probably wouldn't normally be doing.
And everybody is wonderfully helpful too, and they come rushing along and muck in.
But I mean, you're not exactly in Andreas, but you're in the Northern Plain and in
I mean, the thing is, we've now got these group of parishes, you know, these churches. So if you have the fair in Andreas, then Belarf Church and Sulby Church maybe don't feel as involved. Here we're on neutral ground. Everybody comes and helps. But actually, as we get more and more aware of each other's problems and the way we can help each other, we're becoming more of a cohesive parish.
But what about the organisation of it? I mean, there was all sorts of stalls in there. Are people still keen to be part of it? Or do you need to twist their arm?
There's an awful lot of arm twisting, I'm afraid. And it's lovely when you get a young man like that who comes and joins in. I mean, we have got an awful lot of people who are well over 70 and some of them over 80. And that is becoming a problem because one's strength does start to evaporate rather quickly.
Yeah, and I suppose it's something when you look all the years that the fairs have been happening, you look back and it's probably the same people that's been involved in them, and the youngsters don't seem to have the same enthusiasm
Well, so
for this.
many of the young now are working, and they're either working, they're fully organised with their children, and certainly it is a sort of, it's a different attitude. I mean, when I grew up, we did much more voluntary work. And it's quite tricky. It's quite tricky to get the balance right. One wants to involve everybody, but it does tend to fall on the same people who are doing the organising work.
But the people I've seen going around here, quite a lot of them I know, but there's a smile on everyone's face who's involved in helping.
It's a joy when you get a lovely big turnout, as we have today. That makes it very much worthwhile. And then you get a good take. And after the COVID years, when our functions stopped, so we had 2 very empty years, and I mean it's really lovely to be back into engines full turning again.
It is. Look forward to it again next year?
And yes, there's going to be many more things before then though. We've got a lovely concert coming up, many ideas for a concert towards the autumn.
Well, we'll look forward
Lots
to
of
it.
ideas.
Well, we'll give that a mention near the time.
Fantastic, Simon. Thank you so much for coming.
Some of the people involved in the Andreas Summer Fair, the chairman of the development committee and one of the organisers of the event, Waveney Jenkins. Before that, Bill Dale from Beach Buddies, away from the beach for once. And firstly, I spoke to Chris Wellings, who had his Model T Ford on display. 104 years old.
Well, I never.
Yeah.
My goodness me. Wonder if we make that age.
Yeah, well, let's hope so.
That's
He did offer me a ride on it too.
Well,
But got involved in a few other things, and by the time I got back, the chance was gone.
well,
Was that or the Aston Martin that was there?
Oh,
so,
yes.
Yeah.
But isn't it amazing? Poles apart, but yet still doing the same job, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, the luxurious of the Aston Martin, now you see it in James Bond, but yet those cars, 104 years old, still doing its job properly.
Yes, mighty. I've got a picture on the Facebook of that one as well. You're listening to Countryside here on Manx Radio with Kirree Kermode and myself, Simon Clark. You were out and about looking at some more older things, and that's not just the people you spoke to.
Indeed, as we heard from you, Simon, you got a chance to have a look at a 104-year-old car. Well, I popped down to the Southern Vintage Engine Tractor Club rally in Colby. Here we go, we're now with Aubrey Brooks. Now today, Aubrey's been a bit of a wild, windy Sunday morning, but I believe it's been a good weekend on the whole.
It has been. It's been really fantastic, and the crowd have loved it. We love the crowd, and when the crowd enjoy it, the tractors enjoy it, and everyone has a great blast, you know. We had a lot of kids in the arena yesterday for some kids' sports, sack races, egg and spoon, that kind of thing.
Oh, fantastic.
We had 3 arena shows yesterday with tractors in one, vintage cars in the other, and we had a grand parade later on in the afternoon. It was really wonderful to see.
And it's really great after the last couple of years we've had to get sort of shows back up on the road like this and get the footfall through the gates.
Absolutely. I think it's incredibly important for the residents of the island and our visitors, you know, being out in the sunshine and seeing all these tractors and things from way past many years ago.
And like you were saying about all age groups, I've seen young people here working away on engines. You know, they must be much more than 15, 16 years of age, really getting involved with some of the, like you say, the engines from decades ago.
Absolutely. And I often think that if youngsters can get involved in this kind of activity, it takes away the sitting in front of a blank TV screen or a video game or something like that. It's healthy, it's great fun, and you meet a lot of people out here in this kind of environment.
It really is good. But we've got a massive display, like you said. We've just seen the vintage tractors go around. Now, those tractors, they span years and years.
Some very old tractors. Also, in the stands on the side of the arena, there's a whole lot of very old water pumps and Jap engines. There's some pumps from 1920 right up to the present time. Billy, the chairman of the club, Billy Galley, has got a whole display there from 1920 to 1980.
My goodness me.
A wide variety of stuff, and they all kept going, and it's just marvellous. You hear the thump, thump, thump of a motor is doing a lot of work.
Yeah, and this is the thing. This is what mechanised life, isn't it? You know, it revolutionised the whole of human life.
It has indeed. In fact, we've got a baler over here. It's not running today, but you hear the tractor in front of it with the big thump, thump, thump of the engine. Yeah. Did all the baling, the grinding of corn from way back, many years ago. And they're all in very good condition. Obviously, the guys here are all enthusiasts, and you never know. People may have a motor or a car or a tractor sitting on their farm, don't know what to do with it. Yeah. Come along and have a chat with us. We'll help you get it going and get into the club. Or maybe we can put it to use, maybe sell it and somebody in the club would buy it. Yeah, amazing. This is really good. Well, I'll shoot off over the other side there now and have a look, see if I can catch up with Billy. Lovely. Well, Bill Galley, a fabulous weekend again. A huge turnout of machinery, stationary engines, vintage cars and tractors. You must be very proud.
Yes, it's been quite a success.
It really has. And now I see you and your good lady and the family there with all of the lawn mowers. How many have you got here this year?
This year I've got 90 exhibits.
90?
Yes.
Well, that would take some effort to get them here.
It takes a little while, yes.
And I do believe there's a show on this weekend as well, a competition for prizes.
Oh yes, we have every year, we have it judged. We have different judges every year for stationary engines, tractors, implements and engines. And our friend from across, he brought his engine with him, he got best in show.
Oh, Oh, never.
Yeah.
Never come over, hey?
Oh, yes.
Anyway, talking of your friend, he's here today. Terry, welcome to the Isle of Man. I do believe you've gone home with the best prize, though.
I have, thank you very much, but I would just like to thank Bill Galley and his wife Debbie for inviting me over. And I am staying with the Galley family, and I got a free ride over off Steam Packet, and I am very, very, very grateful to be here.
It is, and it's a great little show, isn't it?
It's a very good show. We had a good day yesterday. The weather was very well, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I would like to come back.
Lovely. And what have you brought with you today? Are these a little bit different from what we'd normally have here on the Isle of Man?
This is an old engine. It's a 1911 Tangy,
Wow.
built in Birmingham. It's a hot tube engine and a hit and miss.
Well, I never. It's running like a sewing machine, isn't it?
It's absolutely beautiful. It is.
Really is. And we'll get some photographs of it for our listeners for the website. But absolute pristine condition.
Not a problem. It's absolutely beautiful. I have a the Tangy engine, which is hit and miss, and I have a Tangy water pump to go with it.
Now, what uses would these have back in the day?
When this Tangy engine came out of the factory in Birmingham, it came out of the factory with a water pump. And I've got the original water pump at home to go with it, but it just needs a little bit of work doing to it.
So watch this space, it'll be back out together, no doubt.
It will do someday, yes, but I'll have to fetch a different engine next year.
This is it. And what other things have you got here today? There's so much on display.
Nothing. I brought an engine over for Bill's mate Kane as well, because he bought it over on the mainland, and I brought it over for Kane, and which he's quite happy with.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of smiling faces here, Terry.
It's been an absolute beautiful weekend, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it, my partner and me.
Well, here we are now with Johnny. How's the weekend been, Johnny?
It's been a rotten weekend.
Oh, golly. The
Yeah.
weather's not been so good here on the Sunday, but I believe Saturday wasn't too bad.
Saturday was all right, yeah, but didn't last long.
No. So what, have you been in action this weekend?
No, just we just brought the mill up here and the baler, and and then just had to see what was happening.
The machinery's looking well out here, isn't it?
Oh well, I had a bit of time on my hands there, so I give the baler a coat of paint there.
There we go.
And try to give it a bit more life.
But I see you've been in the winning again, though. So what's the prize for this time?
It was just first prize, wasn't it, Annie?
First prize?
First prize?
In the working class, yeah.
So-
Mill and Baler got first prize.
In the...
Working class,
Oh, I see.
yeah.
And it's been a funny all weekend. You didn't get much of the baling done this time.
No, we're going to leave it till today. As John's already said, we had the Mill and Baler running yesterday. Had Kane Cage Marshall belted to it. So it showed a lot of interest
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. No, it's nice to get the shows back on again, though, isn't it, Ari?
Yeah, it is. And we know we've got a programme ahead of ourselves through the summer.
Yeah. They're looking well, though, aren't they?
Oh, yes. John's been busy with the brush, especially on the baler. He's probably going to do a bit of titivating up on the mill, but he enjoys getting the paintbrush out.
That's it, isn't it?
There we go. That was a wonderful day had down at the Southern Engine and Tractor Club Rally. I spoke to Johnny Crawley there with Ori Mitchell at the Tractors and Balers. Also visiting prize winner Terry Crudders with his stationary engines there, along with Bill Galley. And earlier I spoke to Aubrey Brooks, who was doing the commentary around the main ring.
It's marvellous to see them all out, though. I mean, I suppose it's frustrating when you've got a vehicle that or something that you spent hours and hours perfecting, and over the last couple of years you haven't had the real chance to let the public see the full beauty of it.
That is right.
Well, just before we go, there's a couple of bits and pieces to announce. I can tell you that on the 6th of August, which is a Saturday, it's going to be the 74th annual Sulby Horticultural Show at Lozère Parish Community Hall. So stick that date in your diary. And also next Sunday, the 3rd of July, at Milntown, there'll be a gathering of super vehicles from the olden days as well. So there'll be a mighty display there. That's it for this week's Countryside, though. If you've got anything for it, leave a message for Kirree Kermode or myself, Simon Clark, here at Manx Radio, or send an email to countryside@manxradio.com. We're back next week with more, and you can listen to the programme again on Manx Radio's website. Just download the podcast. So until next week, from me, Simon Clark.
And me, Kirree Kermode.
We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.